Welcome back again. And this our last vlog, I was talking about Ireland and and all the exploits we got up to, and I was starting to catch a few fish, wherever we were going. So as I said, 80s was pretty good to me. And anyway, I remember winning a friendly international against Nantes on the day after winning the match at the Sundridge Pole Championships on the Regent's Canal in London. And I remember, as I say, winning a double event over 2 days, Saturday and the Sundays. It's a nice little, it's nice and to be proud of, Anyway, I won this event using a waggler on Rothbach Lake, which, as I mentioned in my previous vlogs, that Rothbach Lake, it was normally a hempen maggot, but bloodworm, we were learning now, we've learned that France won on Evesham, in 1981, and as I say, we just knew that bloodworm was going to start coming out to its own. Also, during that period, I remember we fished a match on the Oxford Canal as well, and bear in mind there was 1,000 anglers then, and it was about a week later after this Nantes, and I remember fishing a pole across some overhanging bushes, and I lost a little chub, which cost me the top 3 place in the national, but I come 12th, and I had some money for that, for the section anyway. And during the mid-80s particular, and being involved in the World Championships and international events, it was a great privilege, to learn from, the great teams like France, Italy, Belgium and Holland. And as I said, perfecting new fishing techniques, including, a lot of pole fishing techniques, pole to hand fishing, types of ground bait, bloodworm and joker fishing, and, learning to scrape. That was a very important stage, and using low diameter lines and things that we hadn't done before, not as fine as we normally would. And as I mentioned right at the very beginning of my autobiography, I like to think that I was one of the anglers that brought a lot of new concepts back to the UK, because it was bringing back, for example, new types of ground bait, which we, at the time we could, mainly breadcrumbs is all we could use, and I did write a couple of articles actually for the magazines, and for example, the low diameter lines. I brought low diameter lines in from a company called Water Queen, and trying to introduce that new line concept, finer diameters, for its strength, pre-elasticated, so on, floating lines, sinking lines, into the British market in the 80s was very difficult. Tackle shops just wouldn't, they wouldn't take a chance on it. They wanted their old Bayer and Aiken line and Maxima, but as I said, it was during the 80s that a friend of mine, Clive Roberts, which I mentioned, we opened up a small tackle shop, and it was a business that we called it Taff Tackle of all things. Now Clive's main business was a window cleaner, and mine was a video shop, as I already mentioned, and unfortunately the local tackle shop didn't take too kindly to the fact that we opened up, because to us it was just hobby, and the local shop, Gary Evans, he didn't appreciate it at all, and he stopped all the major companies from dealing with us, so we struggled to get tackle, and we couldn't even get bait up the local bait farm, However, Gary eventually he bailed us out as well, so I'm not holding everything against him, because he offered to buy all our tackle and stock, and he basically had a closing down sale that lasted for months and months and months. A very shrewd businessman that Gary Evans was. Of course, my only displeasure about Gary was his business ethics, because when he first started, which was back in back in the 70s, I think it was, yeah, and he was trading from the back garden of his house. And what happened was that we'd all support him, all the Cardiff nomads. We'd all go there and buy our tackle on a Friday and bait, and that's how he built up his business. And he would eventually open up a shop on the main road, and and he went from strength to strength. But I tell you another episode, because Clive Roberts, my friend, upset Gary once, and Gary banned him from his carriage. I think it was all about bait or something, I don't know, but anyway, that was years gone past. Yeah, so as I say, the 80s was certainly an era for travelling. Holland was another occasion where we travelled abroad, and with the club members, Tony Summers, an old Cardiff nomads, Clive Roberts. We were invited by a chap from the West Country, Ray Baisley from Bristol. He just organised a trip, and getting to know the West Country lads was great. Although we fished against them for quite a while, it was nice to actually be part of their group when we travelled to Holland. I remember the exploits of the old late Tom Coulson. Old Tom, good angler in them days. I remember him wandering around the decks, drunk as a lord, like, stripped of his pyjamas, a little lubricated to say the least. But it was great fun. Anyway, experience in fishing the deep canals of Holland was enormous. It was great for our future success, really, because we learned a lot of things. Anyway, coming to that, it was 1983 that Wales again entered the World Championships in Holland, and I'll be talking about more about that in the next vlog, so come back and see what I got to say.